Okay, good afternoon, good evening, you all. Happy to see you here. My name is Alina, and this summer our team worked with St. Basils on improving services for homeless youth in the UK. St. Basils is the UK-based organization focused on helping youth that are at risk of homelessness to prevent this homelessness, build their confidence, develop their skills, and find a home for them. You mentioned you're working in the front desk of the organization who helps homeless young people. It is your first day at work, and your task is to assign the support hours to the incoming people. So you open the doors to your homeless shelter and you see two young people needing help. The first one is Emma. She is a 17-year-old mother with a baby in her hands. She comes from an abusive family and her parents do not want her and her baby at home anymore. Moreover, she has her final exams and needs to finish school this year. The second person is Noah. He's a 20-year-old man with physical disabilities. His father was drunk driving a car and got into the accident, and because of that, Noah will not recover anytime in the future, and his father just shuts the doors of his home for Noah. You will be to provide help to both of those people, but the problem is that you have only one trained counselor, which has only 4 hours of available time left per week. So the question is, how do you define who needs more support, who needs more help, and how do you distribute this available time among these two people? This is the more simplified problem that organizations who help homeless youth face. The more realistic problem sounds like that. You have 80 young people, you have 50 hours of counseling support available per week, you have 7 life skill modules, 16 rooms available for 10 weeks. 3 of these young people cannot be placed together because of behavioral issues. And your question is, how do you distribute your support so it has the most impact? Young people experiencing homelessness in the UK, and 8,500 of them are experiencing homelessness in West Midlands. Among those who are in the West Midlands, we want to help as many of them as we can, considering that we have limited resources. And because all the people have different care needs, we want to identify how complex the case is, and in order to allocate the support that we have and to provide the help that each person actually needs. So there is a need for a metric to quantify the severity of issues of each person and introduce a complexity score of high, medium, and low, which will allow to personalize support for the incoming youth and identify complex. Complexity score is the relative complexity of the case, which is defined as the amount of support needed for the young person to achieve positive outcome in 3 areas, which is accommodation, employment, education, or training. This STAR score, which is the internal metrics that St. Basils uses. So we have 4 types of inputs, including the young person's background, which is their age, their nationality, the area where they come from, the presence of medical issues, and some other variables that we have. We use 3 models to predict the 3 interim variables, which are later combined into the complexity score. We also use causal inference application to assess the effect of support on the likelihood of positive outcome. And this causal inference application and the 3 models that we developed flow into the dashboard with visuals and explanations. Not only is the complexity score displayed, but also the plots which show the relationship between the probability of positive outcome in any of these 3 areas that I mentioned, and between different support types. So let's take a look at one of these plots, for example. This plot shows how the probability of accommodation outcome depends on the time dedicated for the young person per support session. We clearly can see the elbow here. It's the area where the line becomes less steep. And basically what it means, like this light is on the 30 minutes, it shows like the likelihood of 30 minutes, and it means that this number of minutes of support session is the optimal time, and the optimal time is basically means the time when we consider the trade-off between the limited counseling hours, like limited resources, and the highest marginal utility. These all plots have basically the same logic behind them, but they provide us with different insights. and we'll be glad to share those insights later when we show you the poster and the dashboard. Now, when you have this dashboard, if you are at the front desk at St. Basils, for example, you'll be able to easily distribute the amount of support hours that you have between Emma and Noah, and they both will have the support they actually need. So, because we have this complexity score that allows us to identify complex cases more early and to personalize the help that young people need, the homelessness rates in the UK have the potential to be reduced even further. By showing the power of data, we encourage the organizations to digitalize their processes and start to collect data more precisely. And we also have the open source code, which we hope will encourage trust and transparency among the stakeholders and will help other organizations who want to see their effect on the homelessness. My name is Alina, and this summer I worked with Hannah, Aryan, Valerie, and me here on improving services for homeless youth in the UK. Thank you very much for your attention. We'll be glad to see you at the poster session.